Now it's 7. San Francisco's transit agency in the midst of a budget crisis. At the same time, it's pushing to get more people to pay their fair share.
You can't just jump on and then see us and add fare to your card and pay, okay?
We ride along to see how a new crackdown on fare evasion is playing out on Muni. Oakland parents sounding the alarm. They say too many students aren't making the grade.
If my teachers aren't listening, I go to the principal. If my principal's not listening, where do I go to next?
We'll hear from some of the people showing up to tonight's board meeting to demand change. And have you found yourself wondering if your waste is trash, recyclable, or compost? How artificial intelligence will soon help you make that decision at a Bay Area landmark.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. If you hop on Muni, be ready to prove that you paid. In recent months, the SFMTA has changed up its fare enforcement strategy, and it appears to be working. The agency says transit fare inspectors have just about doubled their passenger inspections year over year, and revenue from fares is up. That's especially important as the agency is staring down a budget crisis, having to make tough decisions left and right, including cutting service. The chief security officer tells us fares are directly related to the service Muni provides.
Fares do make up a portion of our overall revenue. And so in order to provide service, people do need to pay their fair share. It's particularly important right now when most large transit agencies are facing looming deficits.
So part of the strategy, making the transit fare inspectors more visible on the buses. Max Darrow rode along with the team to see how it's working.
Good afternoon. Check and proof of payment.
This transit fare inspector, or TFI, is just one man that's a part of a bigger mission right now of keeping Muni rolling.
That one is no good.
His job is to make sure people pay their fares, which many riders don't do, a behavior amplified in the post-pandemic world.
I'm gonna check your payment history, sir, and if your payment history pretty good, I'm gonna try to work with you.
Fares do not drive Muni's funding, but do play an important role in the grand scheme of its funding.
You verbally said you pay, you ride every day, but it shows that you only clip for BART.
And in the midst of an ongoing budget crisis, the agency is trying to optimize its fare enforcement strategy.
Nah, that's not the highlight of my day, to be honest with you. I try to look for an out for him, and unfortunately, he didn't have an out for himself.
A part of that strategy means making TFIs more visible throughout the Muni system.
Hi, please have your passes out for me.
And SFMTA data shows their productivity appears to be working. Passenger inspections have nearly doubled in the last 12 months.
So you can't just jump on and then see us and add fare to your card and pay, okay?
And observed fare evasion has decreased by 30%.
Okay, so right now you are going to be issued a citation.
Audrey Liu is a regular Muni rider and major advocate for funding Muni and doing whatever needs to be done to prevent service cuts.
Do you pay your fare when you get on the bus?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Well, to fund the bus, but I think a big part of it is that, I see my fare helping support the system and hopefully the broader community.
On board the buses many times a week, Liu has noticed the added TFI presence.
Yeah, I do. I think I noticed it especially on the 38 line. It would be nice if we can also focus on other systems as well, like making it easier for people to pay.
Liu thinks this is a part of the puzzle in helping Muni's financial viability. However, it isn't and shouldn't be the primary means of it.
Going after fare evasion is not going to be the solution, just looking at the raw numbers.
A longtime SFMTA employee, however, a TFI supervisor, says optimizing fare enforcement has a positive ripple effect for the entire Muni system.
Now people are paying more, people are riding the system more, there's more enforcement, there's more uniform presence, so a lot of people feel safe on the Muni now.
That's what time we got here?
This TFI says nobody wins when he has to write tickets. Everybody wins when people pay their fair share.
Because I pay my fair. See, I pay fast track. I pay every year. It's the right thing to do.
He hopes people remember that before they have to learn it the hard way the next time they hop on.
According to SFMTA, they've also redesigned the proof of payment program. They plan to hire more transit fare inspectors to be deployed throughout the system. As mentioned earlier, Muni is rolling out major changes to tackle a $50 million budget deficit. On June 21st, Muni will shorten or merge service on the 5, 6, 9, 21, and 31 bus lines. The agency says the cuts will save $7.5 million, but critics warn they could reduce ridership and hurt future transit funding efforts. Meanwhile, BART is touting a big drop in crime. The transit agency says violent crime has dropped 23% this year compared to the first 3 months of 2024. Some riders say they are feeling the change. Itza Sanchez says she's taken BART her whole life. She's felt unsafe at times having to change cars, but now she says she feels safe enough to have her laptop out, though she tells us she's still aware of her surroundings on board the train.
Sitting close to the aisle so that I can't be trapped in if somebody sits next to me, and making these conscious decisions. I feel like over the course of the last 6 months, you don't have to as much anymore, but it's still an active behavior that you do just to keep yourself safe.
BART says fare evasion still remains a problem, and it has struggled to recoup its profits in the post-pandemic era. The hope is new fare gates will help. BART has also cut enough from the budget to avoid a deficit for the next fiscal year starting on July 1st. The parents of one of 3 college students who died in a fiery Cybertruck crash in Piedmont last year have filed a wrongful death lawsuit. The parents of 19-year-old Krista Tsukahara filed the lawsuit in Alameda County Superior Court. They are suing the estate of Soren Dixon, the driver of the Cybertruck who was killed, as well as the truck's owner. The family wants more details about what happened, and they say they have not been given access to the Cybertruck since the tragedy. The vehicle is currently with the California Highway Patrol. The family says Krista was seated in the back passenger seat when the Cybertruck crashed into a tree and caught fire. According to the lawsuit, Krista was not physically injured from the impact, but was trapped inside the vehicle, unable to escape. It happened during Thanksgiving break last year. One person inside the Cybertruck survived. The family plans to speak publicly tomorrow about their daughter and the tragedy. Fire crews put out a car fire in the Caldecott Tunnel in Oakland that slowed traffic to a crawl this evening. Oakland Fire and CHP responded to the fire just before 5 on the eastbound side of Highway 24. Both bores were closed as firefighters worked to extinguish the fire. One bore is now open for through traffic. No one was hurt. A robbery in Oakland last night where thieves drove through the window of a 7-Eleven and stole a safe. It happened on Harrison Street and Bay Place. Since this morning, employees like Kamel have been cleaning up the damage.
I feel like very bad, Yeah, everything is broken here. They took like a lot of money,
Officers are still working to determine just how much was stolen and damaged. Big changes could be coming to Oakland schools with some consequential votes happening at tonight's board meeting. Students and parents are demanding better education for students. So they marched to the board meeting from the Lake Merritt Theater earlier this evening. They are pointing to some alarming new data that shows Oakland students are not making the grade. And as John Ramus reports, they worry it will take years for kids to catch up.
The parents say they've seen the data and they don't like what it shows. And while they may not know exactly what it will take to improve things, they say whatever that is not being done right now. Cecilia Perez Cervantes has her hands full with 2 young children bouncing around the house. But next year, they both start school, and she hopes they'll do as well as her older daughter, who is on her middle school's honor roll with a 4.0 GPA. Still, Cecilia will be one of the people marching on the district's meeting.
Just because my child is doing good doesn't mean other kids aren't. So I do want everybody to be aware of the data. That's our goal for the march, is just to bring the data to everybody's front doors.
A parents group called Families in Action is organizing the protest. They've pored through the district's data and found some pretty damning results.
80% of Black and brown students here in Oakland cannot read at grade level.
Kimmy Keene, the group's founder, says the district promised last year to commit to improving minority academic performance, but the results have been slow to come.
I think we had a 2% increase in reading math, and it's just not enough. If we keep continuing at this really slow pace, it's going to take 4 generations for all of our kids to be at grade level. For our parents and youth, that's just not okay.
She blames a lot of it on lack of transparency, saying many parents simply don't understand how poorly the schools are doing. So they have 3 demands. 1, that schools post their performance scores for all to see. 2, that there be better collaboration between schools and home. And the third might be surprising to some. They want the district to stop wasting resources on having so many small schools.
How about we condense the schools? How about we make from 80 schools to 40 schools, and we make those 40 schools really good schools?
You realize that a few years ago, they talked about wanting to close and consolidate schools, and the parents all started protesting.
I know. It's because they're not, I feel like they're not giving the data and they don't understand why.
The parents are also angry that in such a time of turmoil, the district seems to be considering firing the longtime superintendent Kyla Johnson-Trammell. It is once again something that is being discussed behind closed doors and without informing parents.
We are angry, but peacefully angry. I tell my family I created, this is my angry mob pitchfork. Because we're coming with love. We want our children to succeed.
No one claims to have the answers about how the schools should operate. They simply point to the results and say something has to change quickly, and they would like to be kept informed about what's going on.
John mentioned questions over the fate of the superintendent. OUSD board member Mike Hutchison posted on Facebook that tonight the board will vote on the next steps to remove Kyla Johnson-Trammell. Hutchinson also said they will also vote on whether to take action ahead of a possible one-day teachers' strike on May 1st. The teachers union is currently holding a strike authorization vote. It claims the district has not been transparent about recent budget cuts and potential staff layoffs. All right, still ahead at 7, a San Francisco coffee shop owner relies heavily on imports for her business, how she's trying to stay afloat under the Trump administration's tariffs. Plus, a deadly algae bloom off the coast of Southern California, the race to save sick sea animals from getting even more sick.
Unusually cool weather across the Bay Area today. We had that strong onshore breeze, a lot of cloud cover over the bay and along the coast, but even farther inland, temperatures only reached up to the mid-60s, and we might even be cooler than that tomorrow. Tracking that and a chance of showers as we head into the weekend, coming up in First Alert Weather.
Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi was in San Francisco today to draw attention to the impact President Trump's tariffs have on small businesses in our area. She was joined by Lauren Crabb, the owner of Andytown Coffee Roasters, which has been open for 11 years and relies heavily on imports. She shared how her business has been affected by the tariffs.
The tariffs imposed by the Trump administration will significantly raise the cost of coffee because you simply cannot grow coffee in the continental United States. Raising prices due to arbitrary federal policy, that's unfair to us and to our community.
Pelosi notes that Trump's tariffs will raise costs for Americans by $4,600 per year. Local farmers and grocers are returning to San Jose's downtown area. The midweek farmers market is back after being shut down by pandemic restrictions 3 years ago. So this afternoon, city leaders celebrated the reopening with a ribbon cutting at its new location, the Hammer Theater Plaza on the Paseo de San Antonio near San Jose State. The downtown farmers market will be open from 9 a.m. to 1:30 every Wednesday. Now that's a lot of fun.
You can always find some good stuff.
Always.
Yeah. Is there anything or is like a go-to for a farmer's market?
No, just whatever they have, and I like the little samples too.
Oh, of course. Yes. Yeah. I always look for the local honey because that helps with the allergies.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just an open book.
You're just a mess.
Just looking for the hottest chili peppers for our chili cook-off.
That's true,
Gonna keep just hammering that theme home.
I'm going to work on it. We're going to have a chili cook-off.
You just keep working on it.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep cooking on it.
Look at what's happening out there as we head through the next few days. We are going to see some changes kicking in. Let's turn on the latest satellite imagery, which shows plenty of cloud cover close to the coast. That's been there all day and over the bay as well. While farther inland, we saw plenty of sunshine, but it's farther up to our north. There's a storm system just starting to enter the picture. That is going to be diving down the west coast. And as it gets closer to us, it's going to eventually send a decent chance of showers into parts of the Bay Area. But before it even arrives, we're going to see it getting close enough to squeeze the atmosphere over the entire region and result in some gusty winds over the next couple of days. You probably You probably noticed the gusty winds today. Some of the strongest gusts in the 20 to 30 mile an hour range. Those are going to die down tonight, but then they pick right back up by late morning and throughout the afternoon tomorrow, once again in the 20 to 30 mile an hour range. Not quite as blustery on Friday, but still a noticeable breeze, making the temperatures that'll be 5 to 10 degrees below average feel even chillier, especially by late April standards. In terms of that shower chance, you got to wait a couple of days. Here's Futurecast as we go through Thursday and into Friday. We're going to be seeing the cloud cover, well, intermittently with us, but more clouds and sunshine, the rule of thumb for the next couple of days, but still dry during most of the daylight hours on Friday. Just a chance for a couple of pop-up showers here and there, but those are going to be more mist than hit by Friday afternoon. The bulk of the moisture is still offshore. Let's wind the clock forward through Friday evening. Just widely scattered showers. It's far from a washout. I think things are going to be looking fine for the Giants game that evening. But as we head farther into Friday night, that's when some moisture is going to be sneaking up from the south. This latest run of Futurecast is pushing the moisture even farther to our south, which would limit the amount of measurable rain that we see across the Bay Area. But Saturday, still be flexible with any outdoor plans. The forecast models have been kind of wobbling back and forth. Everything hinges on exactly where the heart of the storm system goes. If it jogs just 50 miles farther to the north, all of the rain gets dragged 50 miles farther to the north as well. So it's something we'll keep you updated on. Not etched in stone that we're going to get that chance of showers, but it's slightly better than a 50-50 chance at this point, even if it wouldn't amount to a whole lot. This is that latest run of Futurecast that was showing 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 inch of rain south of I-80. Now it has backed off significantly on those numbers and maybe producing close to 1/10 of an inch in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Again, just that southward jog indicated, but still it's close enough to wash some pollen out of the atmosphere. Coming back to the allergy theme, looks like we'll be back down to the medium-low category by Saturday and Sunday. It's temporary. The pollen count will be climbing as our temperatures climb again by early next week. Right now, well, there's the sunshine. As we look outside, we're going to see temperatures in the 50s dropping down to the 40s as we head through the rest of tonight. But as we go through the overnight hours, the temperatures are going to back down into the 40s for the most part, with highs tomorrow only in the 50s across the entire Bay Area. For the coast, in the mid-50s, you'll see a bit more of a climb as we head into early next week, low 60s by Tuesday and Wednesday. But the cooler than average temperatures are going to stick around for a few more days. Tomorrow and Friday and Saturday are going to be the coolest days, running about 5 to 10 degrees below normal, only near 60 around the Bay, but then you bounce back up to near 70 degrees by next week. While farther inland, high temperatures also only in the low to mid 60s through the first half of the weekend, but then back to what you kind of expect springtime temperatures to be like inland, with high temperatures near 80 degrees by Tuesday and Wednesday.
Springtime.
Yes.
All right. First chilly time, then springtime.
Yes.
And we're back in action. All right. Thank you. Still at 7. Vets are stretched thin trying to save sea life in Southern California. What researchers say is making the animals sick. Plus, we'll take a look at how AI can help you decide whether your waste is either trash, compost, or recycling. The robots coming to a Bay Area landmark. Dozens of sea animals are suffering in Southern California, and researchers are blaming the worst domoic acid algae bloom they've ever seen. Dozens of animals have gotten sick, including at least 2 whales that were killed due to the high levels of domoic acid. A doctor who performed the necropsy on one of those whales, a humpback, says the samples of the acid were 400 times higher than any she has ever seen.
Unfortunately, this is the worst domoic acid bloom we have ever seen in Southern California. The amount of animal suffering and strandings that we're seeing related to this bloom is absolutely heartbreaking.
More than 75 marine mammals are currently receiving care at the Pacific Marine Mammals Center in Laguna Beach. Each one needs, on average, $5,500 worth of food and medicine. All right, coming up next, have you ever found yourself overthinking what bin to throw your waste in? Well, the new AI technology on a mission to guide garbage to its proper place. Okay, So he's not quite R2-D2, but this new AI robot may be just as helpful by actually taking some of the guesswork out of where to put our trash. So the robots are called Oscar, Sort, and they'll soon be found above waste bins in the ferry building. So Oscar's job is to take a look at what people throw away and tell them where it goes. The company that made Oscar says he will get grouchy if you put your trash in the wrong bin.
I show this chip bag, it scans it right there, and it tells me this bag actually needs to go in landfill. If I put in the wrong bin, wrong bin.
Oh, is that how he gets grouchy? Okay. Similar waste sorting AI can be found at the Exploratorium, as well as a number of stadiums and airports across the country. I think Oscar just needs to yell it out, like, wrong, wrong. All right, you're trash. Thanks for watching. The news continues at 8 on PIX Plus or 44 Cable 12. Not that you're trash, but you know. We'll see you back here at 11. Bye. You know what I mean? Just, it's your trash. Trash. Oh my gosh. All right, thanks.